Okay, well, hello everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to this Oasys Giraphe webinar. My name is Norbert Kovac and I'm one of the business development managers at Oasys. As always, today we have a great session planned for you. But before we dive in, I would just like to make sure that you can hear me. So if you could please put in the chat box, say, from where are you joining us today? That would be a great help. And also, just to get the ball rolling, I'm joining in from London. Okay, so let me just have a quick look at chat, opening it up. Oh, Berlin, Sheffield, Wokingham, London, Newcastle. Okay, so it looks like you can hear me. And oh, Nigeria, India. Okay, very international audience. So I do see some familiar names as well as some new ones. So just for the benefit of anyone who is new to Oasys, Oasys stands for Arup Systems, and we are Arup's in-house software developer. We provide digital solutions for structural and geotechnical engineering, as well as for pedestrian simulation. Being part of Arup, as an independent company means that we are able to focus solely on delivering leading engineering solutions. And this is reflected by the recent new software that we have created, Giraphe and Giraphe, and the new features and developments that we're going to show for Giraphe today. We have a great set of presenters, all from the various parts of the Giraphe team, as well as parts of Arup. But before we dive into the actual presentation, questions. How do you ask questions? As always, we're going to have a Q&A session. That's always great fun. So if you have any questions, if you can just put these into the Q&A. If you look towards the top right-ish corner of your screen, then you are going to see the Q&A icon. In case if you can't see the icon, don't worry about it. You can just put your question into the chat box, and either myself or one of my colleagues is going to transfer that over, and we're going to answer it towards the end of the session. Now, looking at the agenda, what do we have today? So we're going to say farewell to gINT and a warm ahoy to OpenGround Cloud. We're going to talk about feedback. So this is actually very important, and during all of my conversations with clients and prospects, I do mention this. All of our software are based on user feedback. Like how do we develop our software is based on what feedback we get from you. So that's what you're going to see today, what is new based on this feedback, and what we're expecting to see over the next months and time period to come. And then finally, we're going to have the Q&A that I've been talking about. And with that, I'm going to wrap up my part, and I'm going to hand you over to our first talented speaker, Ben.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon to you. So in this next session, I'm going to give just a bit of context here on the Goodbye gINT, Hello OpenGround part that Norbert referenced by giving a brief introduction on us at Arup, our journey from gINT to OpenGround. So the three components on the next slide that I'll talk through very briefly are firstly why we've made this decision. So why as a business we've said that we need to make this change. Some of the key benefits, and then outline how did we do it, the key tasks we've gone through on this change management program, and then that takes us forward into this key opportunity around the graphing aspect, which is of course a key functionality required for the geotechnical data management and interpretation. So firstly around the benefits and why we're doing it. So on the next slide, we went through some of the key four opportunities that we see here. So one of which is around finding data at the moment, with data being sort of siloed within job areas, and previously as it's been for some time, it can be difficult to then find and reuse data where permissions allow. So we want to understand our data, make it discoverable, so that where possible we can reuse it and benefit ourselves internally, and our clients and collaborators. We want to be able to create more standardized workflows, so transform how we're doing things instead of having more sort of bespoke ways of doing different things, building on the geotechnical data. We want to standardize that and have accessible cloud-based workflows that can then link in with other parts of our business and operating systems. I want to prove collaboration. What we can do now with working in the cloud is bring in people, collaborators from other projects, from client teams, work more easily across boundaries geographically, and that is all accessible through cloud-based interoperability. And the fourth point there around automation. So we've already seen a huge benefit from setting up workflows that are benefiting from our cloud technology that we have set up at Arup already, and that's just going to continue to grow in time, and I'll touch on that on the later slides. So going forwards, we can see then some of our disbenefits that we had with gINT before that are still relevant to us in our change program, and then some of the benefits and the positives of moving to OpenGround. So some of the challenges that we've had is obviously moving away from a system that we've customized for decades. So there's been a huge amount of work by some of the people on this call who have created a really sort of impressive platform that we're used to now. And moving away from that and trying to replicate and build on the functionality and accept a temporary loss in some functionality has been a challenge that we've been working through. But the benefits there that I've worked through, the cloud database, being able to access it, control access more effectively for different parts of it, particularly around external collaborators, the APIs that we've been able to then build out into our own custom applications, we're really seeing the benefits, and I've seen that it's worthwhile making a change. But it is really a cultural change. So that arrow on the bottom there, it's not just a technology sort of switch off and then switch on again. It's really affecting our, our engineers, our geologists, how people work. So we've been really aware of that and had to walk people through that change. So on to the next slide again. I'll talk through some of the key tasks that we went through to get there, because we understand, and having spoken with our colleagues in industry, there's a lot of different organizations going through this similar sort of process, moving away from gINT as that's being wound down into the future of other geotechnical database platforms, which are across the board, whether it's OpenGround or some of the other offerings out there, are the cloud-based technologies. So initially gathering requirements, so understanding what we need to achieve, what have we got at the moment, and prioritizing those, accepting you can't transfer straight away into something that meets all those requirements, and trialing the new platform to see what it is out of the box and what we need to do within our organization to configure that and set up what we have. So the next step there was around the configuration, so applying it to suit our needs, our different geographical needs, and be able to talk to the other platforms that we're using at the moment, which in our case was gINT, and be able to map across from one gINT project into OpenGround, and then sorting out all the templates, so those vital outputs that we need for reporting, understanding the data, the logs, the section and figure templates, the sections and the graphs, and also looking at field logging and how we're going to get our data into OpenGround and benefit from that interoperability with other systems, whether it's within the Bentley ecosystem or other applications that are being used in other parts of the world for capturing data in the field. And the third part there around the information onboarding. So I mentioned around the people part of the change management program, and we've been really focusing on that area, helping people to have information on what's new, what's changing, how to get hold of the right people to ask questions, guidance, how-to videos, all of that sort of side of things to really equip people with the information they need to make this change, which affects all projects and ways of working. So that's been a significant part of it, and doing that across all regions. So we're collaborating with our colleagues globally to do that as one sort of coherent effort. And then the fourth part, which is really the fun bit, I think, is around getting into the connectors. And that's really one of those key connectors for us that we're talking through today, around the graphing engine, but really the whole sort of ecosystem of different components that we can connect into. So where are we on that journey? On the next slide, we show the sort of 4 stages of that we've been through. So we've assembled a team to help us take through that globally, the implementation team, and agree what guidance we need, the power users, how that all fits together. And we are most of the way through that at the moment. So we're in phase 4, having been through early adopters, deploying gINT OpenGround on projects actively, I've just finished up at the moment, even today, working on a GIR for a major infrastructure project that's using OpenGround and Giraphe to plot up results for data. So we are really well into that adoption phase and seeing the benefits. We've got many projects in the UK and globally across a whole range of sectors: energy, rail, water, property. It's really, we're in that adoption phase. But I want to come back around on the next slide, some of the connectors, just to mention some of the key components that we've been taking advantage of. Some of them within the Bentley system there. So the kind of components that you get within OpenGround in red, shown there, the professional sort of application to access through desktop, the template studios to set up templates, entering data, and there's the web-based data entry version. But then also the other parts of our workflows for ground modeling, such as using Leapfrog, which is now within the Sequent as part of the Bentley platform. Power BI for plotting up dashboards and some simplified graphing components, but that doesn't have the full graphing functionality we need to interpret data. A really key one here, the user API. So we've done a lot of work in connecting to other applications and building bespoke applications within our Arup automation systems, such as contamination screening tools, ground aggressivity assessments, the connecting with Esri and plotting in GIS. All of that is enabled by having these APIs for able to extract data and push data back in. But the key connector that we're here to talk about today is Giraphe. So our next slide is emphasize where that is. And that's our key opportunity that we're focusing on today. Graphing being one of the key, typically two outputs that are absolutely essential for any sort of geotechnical database management and interpretation platform is your graphs and your cross sections. So that was a lot of emphasis placed on the graphing part before. And that's where we saw the opportunity. So seeing what we got out of the box with OpenGround and the limitations from our perspective of some of the ways of graphing the data out of the box through the Excel extension and through the Power BI connector, we saw there's a really good example here, an opportunity to work with Oasys and Oasys to take forward this graphing technology. So that was discussed. We went through a requirements gathering phase. What do we need? What do we need to be shown? Based on our decades of experience of doing this kind of customization within Arup. And then had that discussion with Bentley. We could see the opportunity, and it was great that they were really keen on this application, this opportunity, and that was being taken forward and adopted as part of their ecosystem of connected applications. So I think I'll now hand over to the Giraphe team to take us through some of the changes and the updates that have been possible through the continuous development that's ongoing. So I'll hand over to my colleague, Mark.
Thanks, Ben. I hope everyone can hear me. I am standing in for Tim, who's done all the hard work here. So without further ado, we get into the next section. And Dave, I think, is going to present the second half of this section after me. So we would like to focus firstly, before we show you some of the new things in Giraphe, we'd like to focus on basically what we do around feedback, how we listen to feedback from users and what we do with that. So it's just got a couple of slides here which look at that part of the process, I guess. You can see a simple workflow on the screen now, and that's really outlining how we do this. So if you're thinking about a new feature, new part of Giraphe, something we want to add in, this is pretty much how it's done. So listening to user requirements, reaching out, listening to people using Giraphe or using other software that does similar sort of thing, understanding what they need. We take all all that feedback, all those requirements, and feed that into our feature ideation process. So we're thinking about what we might do to Giraphe in the future. So that's great. Get some ideas, think about it. But then we have to just try and prioritize that. The team can only work on a certain amount of stuff at one given moment in time. So we go through a bit of a process and try and work out essentially what would add the most value to the product to make it more attractive. So that's step 2 there. And we then hand it over to all the clever people in the UI UX design team who work very closely with the developers to develop it and test it in front of some users, sort of into the 3rd and 4th step here. Lots of testing, both in terms of the code itself, quality of the code, make sure hopefully there's a few bugs as possible, but also testing in front of users to make sure happy with that. And then get it out there, get some feedback, and then really that loops around to the start of the process again, and we sort of try and improve that going forward. So that's, yeah, just a sort of snapshot of that process, I guess. The next slide here, thank you, Norbert, is, I guess, for focusing on some of the more recent outcomes of that process. So Giraffe's been live for a little while, and we've been listening to what people have been doing with it, how they've been using it. That feedback has translated into these key things, which are essentially what's coming up soon. So we're looking at design lines, more colors and symbols that helps people use it more effectively on projects. Filtering, I think Dave's going to cover some of these in a lot more detail shortly. And then sharing, which is obviously very important. What we mean by that is you create some graphs and then you're able to share them with a colleague on a project or maybe for a different project. And then lastly, customization, making them your own. Very good. So yeah, that was just a quick overview of what we do there. I hope that was useful. I'm going to pass over to Dave, I believe. Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah. Hi, I'm David Farmer, geotechnical engineer at Arup. As Mark's mentioned, we're going to run through what's new and what's coming soon. Slides kindly prepared by Raoul, so thanks, Raoul. So what's new? Multi-creation of graphs and general user interface improvements for refreshing and exports. And the interesting one is trend lines aka design lines, overlays onto graphs. And the beauty of Giraphe is it's a cloud-based platform software, and these are available now live. There's no update of Giraphe required. So next slide. So this is a quick GIF showing the ability for multi-graph creation. Once you're logged in, see there's little tick boxes next to the graph templates that are available. You're able to multi-select those as a user experience improvement. And you can see there the yellow buttons appear to create multiple. And yeah, the full menu as being shown here can be navigated. The search at the top right to find a graph quickly. Toggling between depth and elevation on the top right is also available, and you can select multiple. And then in a moment, I think we'll see what happens when you create multiple. Yep, so you can see the search functionality there filters the list. And yeah, creating multiple creates the list of graphs all in one go. And you can see the status there is showing that it's queried. The query is available for that project and the status is green. And you can open the graph individually to see them. Next slide, please. There's also some feature improvements where your graph library, you can also multi-select, and you see the icons appear at the top right to multiple delete or multiple refresh your data sets and graphs. Yeah, you can see you're prompted there whether you're about to delete the graph and the corresponding data set for that graph. Data sets available in their own separate tab, and you toggle the option top right to see which ones are referenced into the graphs in your collection. Okay, next slide, please. So this is the most exciting new feature, is trend lines come design lines. So they're available now in any graph. You can see here we've got an SPT graph versus depth on the y-axis, and we've styled it accordingly. Can apply filters to a specific geological unit, in this case glacial till, and you can hover over the points to see the values and corresponding metadata. And then that button there is trend lines, so you can add multiple trend lines with the plus button at the top. You can provide a unique name for the trend line, and then you can, at the moment, use start and end points. Gradient and intercept will be available shortly. And you can see in there where I was inputting the numbers, and the line is starting to appear in the graph. And again, if you hover over it, you've got the name for that. Just to note, trend lines can be multiple can be created. They can be deleted. If you do delete one, you can use the undo button to undo the last delete if you do that by accident. And yeah, you can add multiple lines to define if you've got a change in gradient, for example here, you simply produce more lines to link together. We're also working on enabling visual differentiation for these design lines and the ability to, when exporting them to, say, an SVG, include the equation on the line. It is possible to see the equation whilst hovering over the line currently. Okay, so that's a really great development from Giraphe, and it is the first step of trend lines. There is potentially more to come from them, but it's a great first step to have that ability to overlay design lines, especially as a geotechnical engineer. Next slide, please, Norbert. So what's coming soon? This is a sneak peek. The ability to share collections. So a collection is a series of graphs for your own personal user account. You can see here within the collection settings, you can transfer or provide permissions to others to either read only or have the ability to edit a graph collection. And you can see you get an email notification there with a link to the collection. As I understand it, it will be a relay running type scenario or analogy where you pass, if you want to edit a collection, you pass the baton to the next person to edit a collection, and then they could pass it back to you or to somebody else to edit. So it's a single person editing a collection, as far as I'm aware, but you just pass it on to somebody else to edit one view. And again, this is the first step of sharing collections, and it will be further developed in the future. This is coming quite soon. Next slide, please. Enhanced graph filters. So at the moment, it's currently limited to geology codes and location IDs. We're enhancing it. We're unlocking this to be different fields within the data set that you can filter. And this is currently just a mock-up shown on screen, which, yeah, again, is coming soon. So that's next slide, please. Thanks.
Apologies for the delay. So my name is Elizabeth Bailey, and along with my colleagues, I'm a technical writer working on Giraphe, and I produce documentation, support materials, and user interface text. Next slide, please. So let's have a look at the documentation. They're split largely in Giraphe into two types of sections. There's step-by-step guides, which break up each of the parts of the interface and provide instructions on how to carry out tasks in Giraphe. And there's a separate section for key features, collections, and datasets and graphs. You can access the documentation once you're logged into Giraphe via the help icon on the top right corner of the interface. The how-to documentation shows you many possible scenarios for you to find your favorite workflows in Giraphe, from selecting your project from OpenGround to creating datasets and graph template selection. The docs help you navigate to the analysis type you would like to perform. The image on the screen shows the how-to section of the docs alongside with the Giraphe interface in action. There are 4 ways to navigate the documentation. First, you can explore topics via the left-hand side menu. You can find specific entries through the right-hand side menu. You can search using the keyword search at the top next to where it says Oasys software. And you can also just move chronologically through the steps, and then Giraphe will guide you through each sequential step in the process. So hopefully this way, you find exactly what you need to get to your graphs. You get annotations and icons and GIFs that supplement and illustrate the more complex concepts, like the example you see on this screen. Next slide, please. Also, once you're logged into Giraphe, you can find the Learn tab. And there are My Modules on the left-hand side. It's beneath the My Modules on the left-hand side of the menu. And this is the embedded library of our video tutorials. You can access these video tutorials also via our YouTube channel, but they are set up in the menu that you're seeing on the screen, the thumbnails, from within Giraphe. And each of these has a short step-by-step video, and it's designed to help you get the most from Giraphe, from creating your collection to exporting your results. These highlight different sections of the interface, show you where to access Giraphe's tools and features, and guide you through example workflows of fundamental tasks, all in real time. And you can pause, replay, and consult them at your leisure. Our library of tutorials will also continue to expand to support your understanding of Giraphe as we add more features, and offer more tools and options for how to use Giraphe. Next slide, please. This is a demonstration of how you can use the support built in from Giraphe to ask a question when you get stuck on something, when you need something more than just what you can find on your own, when something unexpected occurs, you can ask for help. This will send you to our excellent support team. You can also attach the relevant graphs and data to the support ticket so that you get the right help that you need more quickly and more efficiently. And that's it for me. Thanks very much. I hand it back to Norbert.
Thank you very much, Ellie. So I'm just going to do a quick wrap up over here. So with that, I would like to invite you to join Oasys's journey to the cloud. As you can see from the presentations, you can use Giraphe to better understand data and have a dynamic graphing tool at your fingertips that can help you standardize, work within your team or maybe the wider company, and create report-ready plots. You will always be supported thanks to our brilliant technical team, as well as the outstanding learning and documentation materials we have put together. And then last but not least, have your say. Share what you think about Giraphe and how you think Giraphe could become better. As I mentioned before, we always listen to what our clients think, what you need, and we developed the software based on that. So we fully intend to continue in this fashion. And yes, so whenever you have anything to say, just reach out to us. And with that, I'm going to move on to the Q&A. Let me just open up the questions. Okay, it's just taking a bit of time to open. Okay, so one of the questions is do I need to watch all the tutorials before using Giraphe? Who would like to take this?
I can answer. I was just typing in the answer.
Okay.
So, so the answer is no, you don't need to watch all of the tutorials before using Giraphe. In fact, some users won't want to watch any tutorials before they use Giraphe. The documentation and learning supports have been designed to support a variety of different learning styles. So if you're the kind of person who likes to see step-by-step tutorials before you dive in, then we've got that covered for you. And if you're the person who likes to tinker and just go and touch buttons and all of that, the user interface has been designed in a friendly enough way that many people will prefer to just jump in like that. It's all down to the user. So both options are available. And also, if you want to start off on your own and then you get stuck and you need to retrace your steps and find out where something went a different way than you expected, the tutorials are there, the documentation is there to help you.
Thank you. I know from personal experience, I usually just jump straight to the software and see how easily I can use it. And previously, that kind of put me off some software. Okay, next question is, why is SVG the export format and what are the benefits of this?
Okay, so why did we choose it? So SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphic. And the major advantage to this export type is that it is the kind of image type that can be scaled, so made smaller or larger without losing quality. So if you have a JPEG and you make it too big or you make it too small, it can distort the image. And then it becomes not so useful or professional looking in your reports. But if you've got an SVG, you can drop the image directly into your reports and they'll always look good if you want to make them really big, if you want to make them really small. So that's one of the main reasons that we've chosen it. And yeah, just for that sharpness, it also it's just a more stable format. So it's kind of like a hidden gem of the image option.
Brilliant. Unless anyone wants to add anything to it, I think that was a very clear answer. I'm going to move on to the next question. I understand Giraphe is a graphing engine working mainly with OpenGround project data and able to ingest CSV files. Do you have plans to extend the compatibility with other platforms or data formats?
Right. So yeah, we've partnered with Sequent to make it work really nicely on OpenGround. Yeah, as the question says, works with OpenGround. You can also ingest CSV files. That's where we're heading in short to medium term. It's not a never, but that's our sort of intent for now, is to make it work well with OpenGround, and but whilst allowing the freedom to import via a fairly universal format, CSV. So yeah, hope that answers the question. Not never.
Sure. Well, everything takes time. Okay, that seems to be the last question. Let me double check the chat if we have any questions over there. Okay, no. Brilliant. So unless we have any more questions, we can give you some time back from your day. I would like to thank everyone for taking the time to come to this Giraphe webinar, and for all of our speakers for presenting Giraphe, and Ben for the transition from gINT to OpenGround Cloud. I think that was very, very beneficial to see the entire process. Again, thank you everyone for your time. And if you have any questions, you can email us on oasys@arup.com, and we can continue the conversation over there. Thank you.